What's up everyone, and welcome back to the Bold and the Beautiful 24 official channel. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button today. Let's get started. It's time for RJ to beat Thomas in this tumultuous romantic triangle. Ridge and Brooke need RJ's help. On the Bold and the Beautiful, Thomas came home with a fury. He urged Brooke to avoid Ridge and issued a warning. Thomas hopes his father will wed Taylor. Supporters believe that RJ, the son of Brooke and Ridge, would make Thomas's ideal adversary. He might be the only one who can stop Thomas's insane behavior. The righteous son. Thomas has only been home for a week, yet already he is causing his father problems. He insisted Ridge wed Taylor. Thomas also cautioned Brooke from interfering with Ridge and Taylor's engagement. Reddit user BNB believes that Thomas needs a rival who can defeat him. Someone who wouldn't tolerate Thomas's bullshit, like RJ. Can they please recast RJ and bring him back? The original poster initiated the topic by saying, "I'm tired of RJ acting like she's the only one that has kids with Ridge. Ridge's family should remain united, according to Taylor and Thomas. However, he has more children besides Thomas and Steffi. Additionally, Brooke and Ridge have a son named RJ. RJ would thus be Thomas's ideal adversary, according to one fan, who thought this was a fantastic concept. That same individual also proposed bringing back Rick, played by Jacob Young, who was both beautiful and vicious. Yes, and he doesn't put up with Ridge's crap," said another. Supporters want RJ and Rick to hold Ridge and Thomas responsible. Fans of RJ Reboot hope to see RJ come home as a successful businessman or fashion designer who makes Thomas envious. Since he is no longer engaged to Paris and is no longer employed at Forrester Creations, Thomas finds himself in a difficult situation. RJ claimed that before he began working with his granddad, he had no interest in fashion. He may have moved out of Los Angeles to work as a designer for another business. He might then return to take over as Forrester Creations' top designer. Some fans, meanwhile, believe RJ would be more appropriate in an architect position. It's not as though his first obsession was fashion. It would be reasonable for RJ to be an architect. After all, he wasn't interested in fashion design until Eric asked him for assistance. After that, he met Luna, and it was mentioned that he had a gift for drawing, which is important for architecture, just as it is for fashion design, according to someone else. RJ needs to defeat Thomas now. That is the rallying cry of many fans of the Bold and the Beautiful who have had enough of witnessing Thomas Forrester emotionally blackmail, threaten, and manipulate his father Ridge in an attempt to force Brooke out of his life and force Taylor into a marriage that Ridge obviously doesn't want. Now more than ever, RJ Forrester is the only child Ridge and Brooke have together, the embodiment of the Forrester and Logan dynasties, and perhaps the only person who can not only outmaneuver Thomas but also preserve their brittle bond. After all, Thomas has returned to the canvas with a vengeance, sending chilling warnings to Brooke to avoid Ridge. The soap opera needs a counterbalance, a righteous son, and someone who can oppose Thomas with the same ferocity and resolve. This time, however, the dynamic could be turned upside down if RJ returns in a bold new way, recast as a self-assured, successful young man who has been away from Los Angeles long enough to find his voice, his purpose, and his independence. Armed with his father's design genius, his mother's shrewd intuition, and his own ambition to control Ridge's heart, he is pressuring his father to marry Taylor as if his happiness depends solely on controlling Ridge's heart. And a strong moral code that stands in stark contrast to Thomas's manipulative darkness. Fans are already speculating about what RJ's return might entail. Will he be a fashion designer who is prepared to unseat his half-brother at Forrester Creations, igniting the company's storied rivalries, or will he forge his own career as an architect, applying his artistic abilities in a field that Thomas is unable to enter, endangering Thomas both personally and professionally because RJ's presence serves as a reminder that Ridge has more children than just him and Steffi. In this storm of family loyalties and rivalries, RJ could emerge as the ideal adversary, challenging Thomas in ways no one else can, because while Ridge may vacillate between Brooke and Taylor incessantly, and while Eric may attempt to play peacemaker, RJ could step up with clarity and conviction, calling out Thomas's hypocrisy, defending Brooke from his venom, and forcing Ridge to face the truth about his son's manipulations. Brooke is just as much a part of Ridge's legacy as Taylor, and the Logan side of Ridge's family is here to stay, no matter how much Thomas rages against it. As the only true Brooke-Ridge hybrid, RJ could serve as both a unifying force for the broken family and a thorn in Thomas's side, because Thomas has never had a sibling with both Logan fire and Forrester pride. Fans are craving this kind of shakeup, posting online that they're tired of Thomas acting like he and Taylor are the only ones who matter in Ridge's life, ignoring the fact that Ridge has other children as well, children who deserve a voice. Someone who doesn't back down or give up, and just think of the sparks that would ignite if RJ returned as a man instead of a boy, a competitor, a visionary, and maybe even with foreign business experience that makes him a serious contender at Forrester Creations. He would enter design meetings and boardrooms with the assurance Thomas once believed only he had, undermining Thomas's authority and gaining the respect of Eric, Ridge, and even Steffi, who might secretly admire her younger half-brother's bravery, and the plot could turn into a generational conflict, with Thomas plotting harder than ever to keep his position, but this time up against a rival who is aware of his strategies, who doesn't give up easily, and who has both Ridge's bloodline and Brooke's unwavering resolve on his side. In addition to the business aspect, there's the personal one, as soap opera rivalries are never limited to the boardroom, and RJ's presence could have an impact on romance as well, possibly gaining the affection of a woman Thomas rejects. RJ could become not only Thomas's rival but also Ridge and Brooke's savior, the child who restores balance to the family and finally puts Thomas in his place. But here's where it gets even more interesting. What if RJ doesn't return alone? What if he returns with Rick Forrester by his side? Rick is the seasoned veteran and RJ represents the new generation, and both of them refuse to submit to Thomas's manipulations. As Thomas finally encounters opponents who know how to hit him where it hurts, who won't allow him to exploit Taylor's suffering or twist Ridge's guilt to get what he wants, and who see right through his pretense of redemption, revealing the domineering, compulsive man he still is at his core, the fans would cheer. Ultimately, this is about legacy and who really symbolizes Ridge's future, not simply about fashion or family turmoil. RJ's return may demonstrate that the true future of the Forrester-Logan dynasty rests with him, the virtuous son, the center of both families, and the only person capable of defeating Thomas at his own game and shielding Ridge and Brooke from the poisonous cycle that has afflicted them for decades, even though Thomas may think he is the chosen heir. RJ needs to overcome Thomas right now. That is the rallying cry of many the bold and the beautiful viewers who have had it with Thomas Forrester emotionally blackmailing, threatening, and manipulating his father Ridge in order to force Brooke out of his life and force Taylor into a marriage that Ridge clearly does not want. Now, more than ever, R.J. Forrester is Ridge and Brooke's only child, the embodiment of the Forrester and Logan dynasties, and perhaps the only person capable of not only outmaneuvering Thomas but also preserving their brittle bond. After all, Thomas has returned to the canvas with a vengeance, warning Brooke to avoid Ridge. The soap opera requires a counterpoint, a righteous son, and someone who can confront Thomas with equal zeal and determination. This time, however, the relationship might be turned upside down if RJ returns in a daring new way, recast as a self-assured, successful young man who has spent enough time away from Los Angeles to discover his voice, purpose, and independence. Armed with his father's architectural talent, his mother's astute perception, and his own desire to control Ridge's heart, he is urging his father to marry Taylor as if his happiness is dependent exclusively on controlling Ridge's heart.